Hey, it's Carrie.
And Ashley.
We welcome you to the Self-Care Cafe. We are both health professionals and moms and nature lovers and food lovers and love helping women get over dieting and just start living. We think that talking about bodies and perfect bodies and dieting is just boring.
Did we put you to sleep there, Carrie?
Yes. So if you are ready to ditch dieting and get to living and talk about more important things, then you are in the right place. We don't put shame and guilt on the menu here. You don't even have to tip us.
Nope.
Come hang with us. The advice is free. We want to have a bunch of girlfriends to just hang out with and get real with, and it's time to start living, ladies.
Hey, Carrie.
Hey, Ash. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good.
Wonderful.
Good.
What's on the menu this week?
Well, we've been talking about wanting to do the 10,000 steps idea. Such a common recommendation, right? Like make sure you get 10,000 steps in each day. But there's some new research that shows that you probably don't have to get 10,000 steps to improve your health and to just live longer.
Yep.
So yeah, it's what's really interesting and maybe a little scary is that the 10,000 steps recommendation isn't even based on science.
So where did it come from?
Well, in the 60s, this Japanese company came up with a pedometer, and the Japanese interpretation for it meant 10,000 steps. And because in the 60s, it wasn't digital, right? It was just like a step counter thing. And it only went up to 10,000 steps. So that's why it was called that, and that's where it came from. So
Okay.
it wasn't even based on science.
So we've been stressing ourselves out trying to get 10,000 steps a day for no reason.
Correct.
Well, and let's not forget that movement is important, period.
Right.
But
right.
the 10,000 seems a bit like a lot, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it equates to about 5 miles a day.
Oh, right.
So, right. So give or take. So yeah, that's a lot. And it's hard to get if you have a job where you're more sedentary to try, in the past, I would be like, oh my gosh, I've only gotten like 2,000. I need to get moving and start, marching in place or just doing crazy things to try to get it. And like we said, like Ashley said, movement is important, right? Like that, and exercise is my background. So it's important. Movement, our bodies are made to move. But the way that we go about it and stressing ourselves out over it is not healthy.
Right. It's actually probably not necessarily like discounting the exercise that we're doing, but it isn't helping with our like stress hormones and
right
all of that, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you. So what does research show? Because there's new research out that has actually tested how many steps a day is like kind of that sweet spot, right? That where we do get some health benefits and it decreases the risk of dying early. In other words, it increases longevity and things like that. And the new research shows
it's about 7,000 steps a day instead of that 10,000. So Carrie, do you know what the mile equivalent is on that one?
That would be about, hold on, you're asking me to do math under pressure. Like, well, 4 be like probably 3
Okay.
ish.
Right, because what's a
3 to 3.5.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that sounds much more reasonable. And like you said, we're gonna find that we're doing the movement that our body will benefit from, and also probably our health as well as our mental health with mood and things like that too, because exercise can help with all of that. And we're not going to have that extra layer of, okay, 7,000 is reasonable, but 10,000 is just super difficult to meet. And so we're not having that extra layer of stress
Mm.
or
Well,
panic.
yeah, and here's another little pearl that will help too. Because one of the studies that we're talking about is in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, and it was a meta-analysis of 12 smaller studies. So it was a review of all these other studies that were previously done. And what those researchers found was that as few as 2,600 steps per day demonstrated some cardiovascular benefits, so some heart
Okay.
benefits for your heart, and reduce the risk of early death. And then those benefits, so 2,600 was sort of the minimum, right? And then the more you got, the benefits did increase. But once you hit about 8,800, so 8,800 steps per day, they kind of leveled off.
Interesting. That is so
Yeah,
interesting. So as little as not that 2,600 steps is nothing, um,
right.
but also it's so interesting that after the 8,800 you said, it
Yep.
doesn't really matter how much more you do. It's like, oh, well, 10,000 is way more than that, and
hmm
we don't necessarily need to. So anywhere between that 2,600 to 8,800 is helpful. And I think taking it back also to like, do we need to track these things?
Right.
I feel like most of us are getting fairly close to that 2,600 a day. Like, I sometimes check I have an iPhone, so I check my health app and it
hmm
tells me my steps. And I just do it out of curiosity for the most part. I
hmm
don't have like a goal that I try to meet every day or anything. It's just like, okay,
hmm
I wonder what this looks like or what have my patterns been.
Yep.
And I feel like, excuse me, most days just working from home and taking my dog for one 15-20 minute walk sometimes,
hmm
I'm definitely meeting that 2,600. So it doesn't seem astronomical, and it seems
hmm
much more attainable for people that are super busy, people that are
Right.
working desk jobs, people that are like on the go but not physically active, if that makes sense.
hmm
Like going from one place to another in your car or sitting at work or whatever. Like you might be bouncing
hmm
around a lot, but we're not necessarily getting steps. But I feel like just moving around a little bit
hmm And
is
I
both
think it's reasonable to like you did, like check it now and then, just to kind of check in and see how many steps you're getting.
right.
And then you'll know, like Ashley said, just like with food, it's about your patterns, right? So it's if you know, like this is how much you normally move, and so you check it maybe, once a week or whatever, just to see what your pattern is, then okay, on my work days, I'm averaging about this many. And then you don't have to obsess about it. And if you're getting hitting on the low end and you want to increase it, then you say, okay, well, how can I do that? Right? So how can you intentionally increase your movement throughout the day? And what
Yeah.
are some ideas for that?
I think we have so many. And I think it depends on where you're at too. Like if you are saying, I would like to include more movement, I think we can just become a little bit more intentional about it. We don't necessarily have to set up this strict regimen of we have to do this, we have to do that. Like you can, and then is that sustainable for you, I guess? Or if you already do that, how is it serving you? Are you enjoying it? Are you miserable when you're doing it? Kind of looking at your mindset around the activity and making it
Mhm.
more um, enjoyable. I'm not sure if that's the right word for
Well,
everybody, but
sometimes we choose our activities based on how many calories we're going to burn, right?
mhm,
So that's another whole other issue is what are you exercising for? If you're exercising to try to sculpt your body a certain way and you're trying to um, burn the fat off your body and you're trying to burn calories, that makes the movement a lot less enjoyable
Right.
because you're simply doing it to reduce or increase numbers depending on what you're doing. And there's not really I feel like if you have sort of more of an emotional connection to your movement, right? Like this is something I really enjoy doing. This feels good. I really like doing this. That's different from, oh, shoot, I've got to go to the gym and I've got to, run on that treadmill. I hate doing it. It's so freaking boring. And, and I feel like everyone's looking at me or, or you get there and you start the comparison game, right? And you're looking at everyone else. And again, not saying that the gym is bad or anything like that. We're saying, what is your intention? What are the things you are struggling with? What are your thoughts going through your head when you're there? And we both totally get it, right? Like we've both been there. Um, and so what is the reason that you're exercising? Because if it really is just to burn calories, you have to burn off what you ate, because you ate something you quote unquote shouldn't have, right? Do you see how this all it rolls right back into all of that and it makes you feel crappy. So if the exercise that you're doing doesn't make you feel better, then why are you doing it?
Exactly. And also, I feel like that mindset piece is so important. We have
Mhm.
to find what works for us. Like, have you tried different things in the past? Look into those experiences and see what worked, what didn't work. What'd you like? What didn't you like? Because we can be intentional about our movement without being obsessive or hyper focusing on it.
Right.
Like we can say to ourselves, I want to move my body because I know it feels good to me in XYZ ways. And how can I do that this week or this month or whatever it might
Mhm.
be?
Yeah. So before COVID, it's always like that ruler that I seem to go by. Before COVID hit, I was teaching, I pretty much got my workouts in because I taught classes. And for years, that's how it was. And then COVID hit, and all of a sudden everything came to a screeching halt. And I was like, oh, like I'm not teaching right now. What am I going to do? And my body started changing and I didn't feel good in it. And because I wasn't moving, also, you've probably heard me say before, I've got arthritis. And that started acting up even more because I wasn't moving regularly. So like even those of us in this field were right there with all of you, right? Like it wasn't like it affected everyone. Um, so I've had to find ways to get my movement in because that whole aspect of my life completely changed. So it was good though. It was good for me to be reminded how people who struggle with getting enough exercise and movement in, because it took a while to, and even now I still am constantly adjusting. So because I work more from home now, and really I only teach one class a week now, a yoga class. So I've had to adjust what I do. So working from home, of course, you're more sedentary, right? So I got a really amazing stand-up desk. I don't know how I lived without it before. I got it last year, and I love it. So I can stand, which means because I'm a fidgeter, so I'm always kind of moving
He's moving
anyway.
as we're recording.
I'm moving right now. And so So, and then when I sit, I use my stability ball.
Mm.
So I'm also always wiggling and moving. So, and whereas before I didn't have a good setup at all, I'd sit on my couch with my laptop in my lap. It was awful. So, since getting the right tools, right, it's helped out a lot.
And even if you
And,
can't get tools, there's other ways to do things too, like
yep.
parking further away whenever you go anywhere. I do
Oh,
that
my
anyway.
boys, I know my boys would complain, Mom, it's raining. Can't we park closer? No. Walk. There was interesting point. There was a study for real that was done that showed that people, if you're one of the people that drives around the parking lot looking for a close spot, you do not get in the store any faster than the person that parked further away and walks. So if you're thinking it time wise, you're not saving yourself any time.
Yeah, or like taking the stairs if you're in a bigger building, or even at home, just going up and down
Hmm.
the stairs, but
Yep.
please be careful. Taking extra trips, like taking groceries in, or if you are, I used to use this and do this myself. If you have to go to the next floor up in a building, go actually 2 floors up and then back down. Um,
Ah,
that does a little extra.
not in the elevator.
Not in the elevator, right? Taking the
Walking the
stairs.
stairs.
If your family watches TV together, you could do some fun exercise challenges, and that's kind of fun for everybody. Get some competition going if you like that. Or if
Mhm.
it's just you, just moving around during your
Yeah,
shows,
get up during the commercials, right?
if you have commercials, yes.
If you
If
have
not,
commercials.
if not, you could do 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, because I think research also shows, Carrie, that it's not
Mhm.
necessarily about always how much activity you're doing, but it's more like how often, or maybe it's the flip side where sitting for longer periods of time is riskier for your health, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yes and yes. Like we know that sitting too long, so there have been studies that showed that sitting too long increases your risk of heart disease as much as smoking.
Mm.
So it's a really good reason to get up and move. And we were laughing like because we drink so much water. I have to get up anyway. My old bladder doesn't hold it as well, so I have to get up frequently to either get more water or to go pee.
Right.
Um, but I also have made it a habit of making sure. So one thing that I do for work is I edit articles. So in between each article, because it's tempting, I just want to get it
Get
done,
it
right?
through.
So to just move from one to another, but I have purposely made myself stop and get up and I do laps around the house. If it's nice out, I'll go outside and do it. If it's not, I just do it right inside. And I just, it's like 5 minutes. And there's other research that shows taking those breaks helps you focus better. It kind of, gets the blood flowing again. Your, what, oh my gosh, what is it called? Your, um, this is awful. And then because it's all related. Oh my gosh, never mind.
Okay, we'll come back to it. Shout it out if you remember.
Your attention span. That was not done on purpose, I swear.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. And
Attention
you know,
span improves.
what really I just kind of is making me think, like, the idea that we have to rush through work and get everything done and
Mm,
not take breaks is like that total productivity or like hustle mindset.
hmm.
And a lot of us have that. It's just kind of programmed, unfortunately. But it's interesting if we just shift the way we think about it, like Carrie was saying, instead of I need to get all this work done, and if I get up, that's taking away from work, we could change it to if I get up and move, I'm taking care of my body and I will be able to work better. Like,
Yeah, your production is actually going to improve.
right,
And there's research that behind that as well.
right. And not only is the productivity piece something that's important to us, but taking care of our bodies really could be more of the priority there too. Like
Mhm.
we're
Right.
I feel like most of us are always looking for something quote unquote better to do for our bodies or our health or ourselves. And these are some really simple ways to do that. And it's
Mhm.
hard because it's just like creating that habit piece, but also that mindset. We have to adjust how we think about it.
Right. And it doesn't have to be if you work someplace where you can't go and do laps or whatever, then it can be something as simple as doing some squats at your desk, or
We're just
keep an exercise band in your drawer. Um
just doing leg lifts.
Yeah, like
Like
there's so many desk exercises that you can do. You can do push-ups against your desk. There's a lot that you can do right at your desk. Um, and I know a lot of companies are they ring a little bell when it's time to take a break, which I think is
that's
awesome.
cool.
I wish more companies did that.
Mhm. You could also set reminders on your phone, or if you're not supposed to really have your phone at work, you could do like your Outlook calendar or whatever scheduling tool your work uses and set it for every couple hours or every hour. Just be like, hey, reminder, get up and move a little bit, or just stand up or march in place for a minute, or I don't know. If you have a trash can, like do toe touches to the top of it or something.
And you could get employees going, with it too. And or if you have an employee wellness person or committee, make these suggestions to them.
Right,
Um,
because these are way more sustainable than like the Biggest Loser challenges. Those are terrible.
mm,
Um, or the ones that only last for a week or 1 month or whatever. Like
mhm,
everyone thinks of it as it's just a challenge that's gonna be done when it's over. Some people might take some stuff
right.
from it, but it's creating those habits like we always talk about.
Yeah, I hate those Biggest Loser challenges.
Mhm.
I hate them.
Definitely.
uh, what else? Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I think I think thinking about, and I find that this is sort of related to eating fruits and veggies. If you're doing something for activity, whether you feel like it's quote unquote enough or not, it's probably enough. And the same goes for eating fruits and vegetables. I feel like we all think we have to get so many more than what is actually quote unquote like recommended. Um, because we're having such high expectations for ourselves.
Well, and it all counts, right? Like
Right.
we get,
Exactly.
we almost act like, well, if let's say you're still using the 10,000 steps. If I don't get the 10,000, I've failed.
Mhm.
Somehow whatever you did do doesn't count at all. And that's just not true at all.
Right.
Like I said, that the studies show 2,600 steps a day is going to give you some health improvements. So it just depends on where you're at. Where's your health at? What do like we always talk about, start where you're at. And I think I've always recommended to people who, say, I hate exercise. I don't want to, I just hate it. Um, then just move more.
Mhm.
Find like the tips that we gave earlier. Just start moving more, and then you might, once you feel, you realize, oh, I really feel better now that I'm moving more, then that kind of builds on itself. So start where you're at. Don't start where your friend is at or where your former self used to be at or where you want to be right now. Start where you're at right now. Just be honest with that and do what you can to start building in and be intentional with it. It's not going to just happen if you just wing it, right? Be intentional with it. Plan it out. Um, Plan if you have a planner, and you're listing things you have to do. And like Ashley said, the research shows that breaking it up, it doesn't have to all be done all at once. You can break the movement, the exercise up throughout the day and it all still counts. So like while I'm working at home, I'll keep my weights out, and if I'll take a couple laps and then I'll do a set of weights, and that's how, and by the end of the day, I've gotten a whole workout, right?
And
It doesn't have to be done all at once.
and I feel like that might be more helpful for people that
Mm,
have a tricky relationship with exercise because if we go all gung ho and say we're doing like 5 reps of weights, we might feel really tired and miserable after because it was too much for us, but we had
Maybe
this
five
expectation.
sets.
Yeah. And so if we break it up, it's much more manageable and not so miserable. And so we might keep going with it.
Right. And some people enjoy like again, and I am one of them. Like I will do a full workout. I do enjoy that. I feel better afterwards. But if you're someone that doesn't enjoy that or you're struggling with finding the time, where do I put in like a whole hour of exercise, whatever it is, breaking it up throughout the day. And also if you have diabetes, um, or are headed that way, moving throughout the day helps with your blood sugar control too.
Definitely.
As long as you're eating, right? You have to be eating too.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot more to that, but
Yes.
that's just the tip of the iceberg. But yeah, it helps with that too.
Definitely.
So to prevent those spikes.
Mhm.
All
Great.
right. Anything else?
I don't think so. This was a fun one to chat about.
Yeah, so it's fun. I've been moving the whole time.
I know. She really has.
I
Really has.
dance at my desk.
Oh, a dance party. That's another great way to get moving,
Yes.
everybody. Forgot about
Hmm.
that. Or even just
Yeah.
like if you have music on quietly at your desk, you could like sit and dance. You don't have to be like
Mhm.
standing. It's like,
Oh, you could also do Kegels, your
oh,
pelvic floor exercises, right? No one even needs to know that you're doing them, but they're
exactly.
so important and so forgotten.
Yes.
I'm doing mine right now.
Perfect.
Can't tell, can you, Ash?
Nope. Cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so leave us some love on social media or on your listening platform. You can find us all over the place. All of our links are in the show notes. And we will chat with you next time.
Yes, ma'am.
We love you
Have a
lots.
great day.